We all know the feeling you have in your stomach when you feel uncomfortable. And you're like, is this good what happens right now? Is this person good for me? Hi, this is part two of our series, Living in Your 20s. Today, we're gonna talk about relationships and friendships. My name is Lisa. I'm 24 years old. And like I said in my first video about living in your 20s, living in your 20s can be really awful sometimes. It is a cool part of your life, full of experiences, I guess, and it can be overwhelming sometimes. So I felt like a series like this could help some of you. I thought about pinpointing key points for a relationship or friendship that are important, not just for you, but also for the relationship and for the other person. The first key point I thought about was self-worth. We all know the quote, you can't love someone if you don't love yourself first. And it is kind of true, I guess. We need to understand self-worth and have self-worth to be able to be in a healthy relationship or friendship. First off, we need to understand who we are. Like, we need to be able to describe ourselves before we can work on our self-worth. So if I don't know who I am, if I don't know what my needs are, what my skills are, what I'm good at, what I'm not good at, if I don't know things about me, I won't be able to work on my self-worth. And the less I know about me, the less good things I will know about me. You get me? Self-worth is complicated, right? Sometimes we don't really like ourselves. Sometimes we underestimate ourselves. And sometimes we just don't feel right. What we can pinpoint is that self-worth is strongly linked to mental health. So the better our self-worth is, the higher our self-worth is, the better is going to be our mental health. If we have low self-worth, we're gonna have high anxiety levels. We can have depressive symptoms, and we won't be as resilient as we could be. So working on your self-worth is really not just important in your relationships and friendships, but also important for yourself, right? The next key point I was thinking about is boundaries. It's crucial for relationships and friendships. I know sometimes people can struggle with having boundaries or like even think about boundaries, establishing them. So I figured there were 3 simple steps for having boundaries. The first one is self-awareness and reflection. We need to reflect and think about, okay, what are my boundaries? What are my limits? What are my needs in this relationship, in this friendship? What do I need from this relationship? What can I give? What are the limits of that? And my values. What are my values? The second thing is clear communication. We need to be able to communicate clearly and in a respectful way. Like, big part of relationships are communication. Also friendships, obviously. So if I'm not able to communicate in a calm and honest way, I will most probably struggle also in relationships and friendships. You can learn that. You can train that. You can train yourself to communicate better, to communicate your feelings, your boundaries, your needs, your limits. Some time ago, when I wanted to talk about my feelings in this friendship or relationship, if I wanted to express how I feel in this relation, I was kind of anxious. I don't really know why, probably because I was overthinking. I'm a big overthinker. But I got better at that. So for all the overthinkers, it is better to think about the best scenario, the best case scenario than the worst case scenario. Because the worst case scenarios most probably won't even won't even happen. The third step for having boundaries is maintaining them. Be consistent about your boundaries. One big part is, like I said, having self-worth, defending your self-worth with knowing your limits and knowing your needs, having boundaries and maintaining them. What I also noticed in our 20s, there are a lot of people struggling to find the right person, or the right person, the person that is not bad for them, meaning a person they want to share a serious relationship with, a person who respects them. And I feel like it's especially hard in your 20s. I don't know why, but I see a lot of people struggling with that, with either having a healthy relationship or finding someone to have a healthy relationship with. I don't know if it's just my if it's just my bubble that is not really lucky at finding and having. That brings us to the third key point. How do I know if this person right here is good for me? If the person has a positive impact in your life. If this person also has an impact on your well-being. Does this person bring you joy, bring you excitement? Or is it like a total chaos, but it's still interesting? Because that's how toxic relationships work. You know it's going to end in a chaos, but you can't stop yourself. You're like dependent from them. How do we know if the person we found or the person we get to know we're about to date is good for us? For that, I thought about 4 steps or 4 points. The first one is respect and support. The first green flag for a person, for a relationship and friendship with us, is if the person respects our boundaries. Does this person respect our limits, our needs? If the person respects you, then this person is most likely also going to support you. So that's the first green flag we have right here. The second green flag is healthy communication. Communication is key for relationships and friendships. It's not the big key, but it really plays a big role in relationships and friendships. If you feel like you can communicate in a honest, healthy and respectful way with this person, that's the second green flag, I guess. It's not just important to be able to communicate, but also to know and notice that the other person is actively listening to you. It wouldn't make sense if I communicate, and the other person isn't really listening. The third green flag we have is, do we have an equal take and give? Do I give 50% and do I get 50%? We all know in relationships and friendships, it can depend on how our day was. Sometimes I'm just able to give 30%, for example, and that's totally okay. But if I give my best every day into this relationship or friendship, I know I'm involved in this relationship. I'm into this relationship. I'm interested in this relationship to work, in this friendship to work. Mutual effort means I give my best and the other person gives their best. Of course, it's not going to be 100%, like I said, but trying. I guess trying is a good word. I remember a quote we talked about in university some time ago. Don't quote me on that because I don't know the exact quotation, but it was like, a relationship or marriage isn't just finding love and respecting each other. It's more like putting in all the work, like really being into it, putting everything you have into it. You need to be willing to work. The fourth green flag is trust. Are you able to trust the other person? Like, really trust them, not just like, yeah, I think I trust them. What I learned is actions speak louder than words. We all know people that exactly know what you want to hear. Like, they're going to tell you word for word what you want to hear. They're going to love bomb you, but their actions do not align with the words they told you. I know it's hard being in a relationship and not seeing this, but this is like a red flag I often see in relationships. Having someone tell you, you're the best, you're the most beautiful, you're the prettiest, you're the funniest. I don't know, whatever they tell you. It's nice to hear, obviously. Who doesn't want to hear that? But it's hard to understand when their actions don't align then with the words. Ask yourself, is the person you're thinking about right now trustworthy? Do their actions align with their words? And can you rely on them? No matter what happens, I know I can trust this person, and I know this person will do everything they're able to do to not hurt me. You get me? These are like 4 green flags I thought about. There are probably going to be more, but I felt like these 4 are like the most important ones. Let's make a little resume. There's a man screaming in this park, and I don't know why. The first thing is self-worth. Do I know who I am? Can I describe myself? Self-worth. So important for relationships. Also for the relationship with yourself, right? Relationship with yourself, relationships with others, friendships with others. First big part we talked about is self-worth. Second big part we talked about is boundaries. Boundaries go hand in hand with having self-worth. Then we ask ourselves, how do you know if a person is good for you? I really hope this video kind of helped the way I hope it helps. I feel like relationships and friendships can be complicated sometimes because both of them implicate work, and sometimes you don't really get the other person. Maybe the communication went wrong. You don't really get what the other person wants from you, what the intention is. But I feel like these 3 things, like self-worth, boundaries, and checking if this person is good for you or not, really helps in relationships and friendships. So if you feel like I missed something, or if you feel like it kind of helped in some way, let me know. I'm curious. When I thought about these points or these key points, I also thought about my past relationships and friendships. What I missed big time was having boundaries, I'd say. So yeah, girls, never forget your boundaries. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Thank you. I hope I could help. This was part 2 of Living in Your 20s series. We're going to see each other in part 3. I don't know what we're going to talk about there, but tune in. I guess it's going to be cool. I hope so.